Well, hello everybody. My name is Doug Smith. I'm with the Mid-America Flight Museum up in Urbana, Ohio. And the Mid-America Flight Museum is based out of Mount Pleasant, Texas, but our restoration shop is right here in Urbana. And we work on a lot of great airplanes, old airplanes in particular, and we get them back into flying condition, and they get flown back to Texas to become part of our museum. We've been restoring airplanes here in Urbana for our museum since 2018. So for almost eight full years now, and we've done several projects, and everything from a 1929 Travel Air 6000 to a Stinson tri-motor, so something with 3 engines. So it's quite a diverse collection that we have, so we get to work on a lot of great airplanes. In total, we have about 40 volunteers that are part of our organization here in Urbana. So we have our main maintenance shop is just across the fence from Grimes Field, Grimes Airport here in Urbana. And then we have a couple of hangars that are on the field, and we're in one of those hangars on Grimes Airport right at the moment, all the way at the south end of the field. One of the mottos that we have for our museum is to mentor youth. And by doing that, we can plant seeds of aviation into the next generation of young folks coming along, and perhaps give them something to think about how great the aviation field is, not only flying, but working on them and engineering and things like that. And we have a lot of young people that work with us here in the shop on a mentor style basis. And so we think that it's important to share that love of aviation that we have for the next generation that's coming along. And we're excited about the air camp that's coming up here in just a few weeks. One of the projects that we're going to be doing is doing some fabric work that we would normally do on an airplane. Now, not many people may know airplanes, especially older airplanes, most of them have a rigid structure underneath, and then they're covered in fabric and then painted to make them look like a metal airplane. But most airplanes of older generations were fabric covered, and that's to keep it light and to save resources, so they didn't have to use a lot of aluminum. So the airplane that I'm standing in front of actually is a replica airplane. The original was built in 1934, and it's a racing airplane. It goes quite fast. And even so, the wings are wood with fabric over the top of them. And then the fuselage that I'm standing in front of right here, this is all fabric, believe it or not. It probably looks like metal, but I can push on it, pound on it, that is fabric. And so one of the things that we're going to be doing with the kids is learning how, once the fabric is on the airplane, how to shrink it and then how to stitch it. So we actually have to sew the fabric onto the airplane, not to hold it on, but to hold its shape. So the reason why we sew fabric onto the airplane, whether it's on the wing or in this instance, we even sewed it onto the fuselage, is because in flight, the fabric can flex. And we don't want the aircraft to lose its shape, because that could deteriorate its flight characteristics. So we have a long needle and thread, and we actually sew the fabric onto the wings. And so that's what we're going to be demonstrating. We have some panels already made up for everybody to use, and we have the fabric. We're going to go ahead and glue them on, but then the kids will get to shrink the fabric just like it would shrink on an airplane. And so we're just going to do some sewing and show just some basic techniques that we used on an aircraft.
And from the images I've seen of the museum, it seems like there's a few projects that are in progress. Are the students going to be able to kind of take a tour of the facility and see some work that you are doing on the restoration as a team, even if they're not actually doing the projects? They'll be able to see some of the process in progress.
Right. That's right. We can show them a few of the projects. And the airplane that I'm standing in front of, we've actually, it is almost finished. We're about ready to pull it outside and fire up the engine and take it around for a flight. So they'll be able to see an aircraft from start to finish, basically, on what it takes to do one of these. Kids are going to get to learn basic riveting techniques. So if an airplane doesn't have fabric, most likely it has a thin layer of aluminum skin that we have to rivet onto the fuselage structure. So when they're up at the Champaign Aviation Museum, they're going to see all the amazing airplanes and projects that they're working on up there, and then they're going to learn riveting techniques as well. So it's going to be a great day. We'll show them how to squeeze a rivet, and then they'll get to take a little airplane home that's made out of actual aircraft aluminum. We would love to see, you know, any range of the middle school or young high school kids, certainly if they have an interest in aviation, you know, absolutely. But even if they've never really thought of it before and they want to come and kind of check out, you know, what's this aviation world all about? I'm sure, you know, I mean, airplanes are everywhere nowadays, but to actually get up close and kind of personal with them, you know, not many people get that opportunity. And so, you know, anybody that has any hands-on interest or maybe wants to learn how to fly, work on them, engineering, you know, anything like that would be great candidates for coming out to the STEM program and seeing what we do.